Is Jawa really the best place on the internet to buy and sell your PC parts? Now, a lot of people are talking about them because they have sponsored the most recent season of Linus's Scrapyard Wars. Now, to be clear, this is not a sponsored video. So I am trying Jawa to see if it's really all that it's hyped up to be. So value starting at $400, mid-range $750, pro gamer starting at $1,500. So these are desktops that are built by expert gamers. So these are like already built PCs. Now, this specific system says it has a 2-year parts warranty, a lifetime service and labor warranty, and it is packaged with extreme care. So I guess the way this works is that each seller is going to have their own warranty or whatever program. Jawa is only there to make sure that you get your money back if something does not ship, or if there's a problem with it within the first 48 hours. Otherwise, you're on your own. So this is an RX 580 Ryzen 5 Windows system that is, quote, the console killer for only $400. Okay, so what are we actually getting here? Ooh, a Ryzen 5 1500X. 16 gigs of RAM, a 580. I mean, this is quite an old system, but we're talking 400 bucks. That is quite literally the cheapest gaming PC on Jawa, is this for 400 bucks. I actually want to give that a try. That actually seems decent. So this is what it's like to purchase a pre-built system. What if I just want to buy components? So I'm gonna go to graphics cards. Let's just take a look and see what happens when I want to buy a graphics card. Oh, actually, wait a minute. So I could buy graphics cards. I could also sell a graphics card. So Jawa is a marketplace for both buyers and sellers. So if you would like, you can, I presume, start selling and sign up for an account and blah, blah, blah. Or if you just want to flip your old GPU, you can just trade it in. Now, a lot of other companies do this, including Micro Center and Newegg and whatnot. So it's not revolutionary, but if you're upgrading your system, you want to flip your old GPU, let's see what that's like. Can you grab something that seems like it's maybe usable? All right, so I am going to attempt to sell an RTX 3050 with original box. So this was originally purchased from Best Buy. I don't remember how much it was, but let's see what they'll actually give me to sell my 3050. My offer is $96 for a 3050? Okay. I'm gonna say that's not terrible. What can I buy a 3050 for on, let's say, eBay? So $160, $170, $180. So let's just say like maybe like $150 on average. The fact that they would give me about $100, including shipping and everything, that's fair. I think that's probably about in line with other sites. Okay, that seems decent. I think I'm also going to just buy a number of parts and build my own system and see how competitive the prices are and what it's like to buy not just a pre-built system, but a whole bunch of parts from a bunch of different individual sellers to see how long things take, how expensive the shipping is, which I'm gonna guess is probably going to mean that my prices are going to be wildly out of control when I buy 9 different components from 9 different sellers. So let me do this. Let me order my PC, a bunch of PC parts, try to trade in my GPU, and let's see exactly how suitable Jawa is to save yourself a few bucks when you're building your next PC, or if the tech tubers have spoken and Jawa is legit. Only one way to find out. Spending a lot of money on Jawa and hoping that I don't get scammed. Hello, my friends. We have a large amount of items from Jawa to evaluate. But before we get into all of this stuff, I have an update for you. So if you'll recall, when we did the ordering scene, we were also going to sell Jawa our RTX 3050 in box. And I'm happy to report it was actually totally smooth and absolutely boring in every possible way. Well, actually, there's one small thing. So they promised me $96.50. I did not have to pay for shipping, so they gave me a label. I received $96.50 minus a $2.89 PayPal transaction fee, which they should have mentioned that they were gonna charge me the PayPal fee. But other than that, I got the money. Trading in your stuff to Jawa seems all right. But how about buying a whole lot more?
Wait, so you use Pierre Luigi, right?
Oh yes, oh yes.
I can't help but to notice that they sent one of the things in a French bread dough thing, and they also got your numbers wrong. It's 03033.
If this showed up as 3303, the ops are out there. Also, it's important to note, Ken, that while you're on the shoot today, do you have a disclosure you need to make? An FTC guideline to adhere to, perhaps?
Oh yeah, Jawa did sponsor Denki. They were my first sponsor on the channel.
But I will say that for me, I don't give a shit, and I'm going for it. Or Pierre is going for it.
Did you get that? Did you get that?
Are
Did
you?
you get that?
I can't even make a joke about you wearing a wire because you're literally wearing a microphone right now.
Yeah, he caught on.
All right, so, oh my God, can we get a close-up of that? I just realized what's written on this box. I'm fragile, please take care of me, please. Thank you, have a great day.
Please.
So this is actually our pre-built system. So if you recall, we purchased not only the parts to build our own, but we also purchased the cheapest gaming PC on Jawa.
Oh wait,
Now,
it fits in that entire box?
It's a little, please can fit in your box, please.
In Jawa.
Yeah, with my Jawa PC. I gotta stop doing that. I am cringing and I'm listening to myself. So, well padded, a good start, because keep in mind that when you're purchasing from Jawa, most of the time you're purchasing as a marketplace, right?
Yeah, he said the talking points. Good.
Can you stop?
Sorry, I'm like making sure.
This video, let me be as clear as possible. This video is not sponsored.
And the Gurpakan Tigabad. Look at the front of this thing. Like
the Gurpaton Tigadige. Oh wait, do you see that? Are there graphics on this PC?
There sure are.
Oh, okay, there's literally a screw that just fell. More parts falling off, that's, okay. Oh.
Ayo?
How interesting. If only I had a gaming phone to accompany my gaming PC with all the characters I could need. This is built into the, oh wait, it's also dented. Oh, that's very dented. Can you see that?
Oh.
The motherboard, I will say, looks like maybe some damage because it's definitely wiggling a lot. Can you see that? That's not really supposed to be the case. Behold, my friends. Well, that's a lot of padding. I'll say that. Okay. Okay. Oh, it is definitely custom painted. Look, they painted the GPU. Okay, so you know what? This is giving me some like Etsy vibes, right? Where like, this is not someone who just threw a PC together and called it a day. There's actually some real work that went into this. See, I knew I could smell like that sort of fresh paint smell. So, let's take a look and see what we've got. So our Thermaltake 500 watt power supply. This little red Ace fan, which is like, is that like an LED that goes around it or something? It's actually really weird. You see, it's like, it almost looks like yellow tape that goes around it. Okay, so I guess we'll see what that looks like when we fire it up. Thermaltake cooler, looks, I mean, stock cooler adjacent, but fine. Oh, that would explain it.
Oh, yikes.
At first glance, certainly a slightly more custom PC than you might expect, considering that there's at least some work that went into like painting it. So while our pre-built gaming PC is downloading some updates, let's take a look at some of the other components that we've got to build our own system. So I think by the end of this, while the two PCs are not going to be like apples to apples, we can evaluate what it's like to build your own system using all Jawa components versus just buying something that someone has already put together for you. But certain things, such as this EVGA power supply, are maybe a little bit expensive. When I was looking through to try to find power supplies, there were incredibly few options to pick from. Oh, that looks problematic. Well, this was a Best Buy power supply, I could see that. Now, obviously, anytime you're buying used components, there are a lot of variables, right? So, you know, just because I get a good or bad deal has no real bearing on what you're gonna get, but hopefully this is helpful in giving you an idea of what to expect. Okay, so I think the main problem is there's no core box, so it's just wrapped up in the exterior box. That being said, we've got the warranty card, and we've got ourselves a power supply. I mean, it is well padded, I'll give them that. Definitely lots of bubble wrap. Did I buy a 500 or 750? Because these say two different things.
You bought a 500.
Okay, that makes more sense. Actually, you know, for a second, I was kind of like, oh, 750, yeah, like I thought it was more. No, sorry, let me rephrase. This is a 500 watt power supply and a 750 box. We don't need that anymore. All right, I distinctly remember this being a little bit on the expensive side. How much did I pay for my 500 watt power supply on Jawa?
45 smackaroos.
So the problem with Jawa is that in a world of free shipping on Amazon Prime or free pickup at your local micro center, well, it's easy to forget that for a regular person to ship you something, it's expensive. So This basically cost me the same, if not almost slightly more, than buying a new power supply and just having it shipped from something like Amazon. I can just immediately tell you that I'm sure this is an okay power supply. You should not buy every single component on Jawa. Certain things, such as power supply and one of the other things over here, do not make sense. So we'll, build the whole PC, we'll give this a try, but maybe don't pay more than MSRP for a used power supply. Next up.
Oh, is it the baguette?
Oh, oui.
Slightly racist, but okay.
No accents.
But Pierre is such a, he has to express himself, right? Like, you can't be named Pierre Luigi and not express yourself in a slightly outspoken kind of way. Also, this is delightful. This next box has gift wrap. So I'm getting myself a little present. This is very lovely.
Normally the gift wrap goes around the box, not.
It's padding. Okay, look, as we've established many times, getting something that's well padded is very nice. So we've got ourselves the SE225 XT cooler, which sounds a little jangly, that's fine. And then we have what I assume is everything else inside our motherboard box. So this was a legitimately really good deal. So at first I was gonna buy all these items separately, but again, the thing is on Jawa, there's almost never free shipping, and if there is, I mean, someone's just like rolling that into the cost. So it does actually make a lot of sense for you to buy a bundle. So this came with the cooler, the motherboard, the whole kind of PC in a box setup, short of a couple of the other things over here. All right, so we've got ourselves some RAM, which actually has the original little things on it. The little, what do we call it? The little plastic guys, the little doohickeys, the
Packaging.
Packaging, thank you, that's the word. The package that they are still in.
Doohickeys? What is this?
So 16 gigs of RAM. And then we also have the board, which looks like it already has everything pre-installed. So this is an ASRock B550 Phantom Gaming 4 motherboard, which is interesting because it's in the competitor ROG B550 box, but whatever, it's fine. We do have our AMD Ryzen 5 3600 already installed. Looks relatively clean, although there's a little bit of, I think, thermal paste that made it onto the side of the board, but that's fine. A little thermal paste between friends. And then we also have, interestingly, our M2 SSD is already pre-installed, but first of all, it's in the bottom slot, which normally we would put in the top slot because typically that has higher bandwidth, but also it has a third-party cooler on it, which is fine. I actually did not know that was coming. How much did I pay for this AMD Ryzen 5 3600 B550 motherboard, 500 gigabyte NVMe SSD, 16 gigs of RAM, and a CPU cooler?
For what is essentially 75% of a computer, you paid $225.
Okay, this actually looks pretty good. Like, I'm feeling pretty positive about it. Next, let's go for our graphics card. So what's different about the graphics card is this is the only item that we purchased directly from Jawa. So I bought the GPU largely because I trade in a GPU, so I know that process was actually really smooth and seamless. But I'm curious to see, comes in the original box, what the Jawa experience is on buying a GPU. And this is a pretty good deal too, because while there are plenty of third-party listings of GPUs on Jawa, this is, I think, by far the cheapest, relatively powerful card, being a 6700 XT. Like, how much did I pay for this?
It was $255.
That's not bad for a 6700 XT. It's not amazing deal. That's pretty decent. All right, and we've got a GPU. Hey. So plastic back plate, but very clean. In fact, actually, it even has a couple of the port protectors on it. This looks like a very, very clean GPU. Not dusty in any way. They definitely did a good job of cleaning it up, or just was a very lightly used card. This is great. Last but not least, we have ourselves a case. So this is a very generic Endura Pro Plus case. It looks brand new, which is fine. How much did I pay for this? Because I remember looking at it and go, ugh.
You paid $100.
Which so I don't know this case specifically, but from first impression, it looked like one of those $40, $50 cases you could get at Micro Center. But that $100 was including free shipping, but I would not be surprised that the shipping was probably more expensive than the PC itself for the seller. Oh my God, this one has also got a design on it. Oh, good Lord. Wow. Okay, so on the front, you can see we got a little bit of a design here on the glass, on the top and bottom, but you come around to the back,
Dude, I am
Actually,
about it. Yes.
I don't want to. Okay, wait. I'm not gonna give this like a giant thumbs up, but it's not super tacky. And honestly, most of the time, like the other system, painting your case with designs can look real ugly. This is tasteful, especially if you had components that fit the aesthetic, which I clearly have designed carefully. All right, my friends, let me put together this gaming PC. We're gonna put this head-to-head with the pre-built, and we'll determine exactly how good or not our deals from Jawa really are. So good news, the system works totally fine. We got it all fired up. The bad news is, as we've landed into the BIOS, which as you can see, everything seems to be functioning, I'm noticing a little noise coming from the power supply. Can you hear that? So we're gonna go ahead and install games and benchmark and make sure that everything is functioning, but that does not inspire a lot of confidence that that power supply is going to have much useful life left. Because I'll tell you, one thing I'm not gonna do for a $50 power supply is open it up and try to fix it, because power supplies, they're scary. So we now have our two complete and ready to go Jawa PCs. So let's start out with the Ticketed Gamer. Just a little reminder, this is running, I would say, like 5-year-old specs. So we've got a Ryzen 5 1500X, which actually is, wait, is that 6 years old? Wait, Ryzen first gen came out in 2017, right? Hang on, let me ask Copilot. 7 years! Oh God, this has been 7 years? I was like, oh, it's like a 3-year-old, maybe 4-year-old set. It's 7-year-old processor. When about the 580? RX 580 came out also 2017. Oh, like, okay. So it's not like few-year-old components, they're 7-year-old components. So, you know, you have to set your expectations a little bit lower. Let's go ahead and show a quick game of Valorant though, because I think that's one area where Valorant should work. It's probably approaching the minimum spec in a lot of games, but still, like, this should be decent for a $400 system. That's my expectation at least. So go ahead and pop open settings real quick here. So I'm just gonna run it on the default settings. So I'm running at 1440p, mostly medium settings. It should be fine. Oh, how about 300 FPS? Dang, that's actually, I mean, even as I'm moving around, like 200 FPS? Also, wow, that is fast. Yeah, this is very playable. And again, if we're trying to push like a AAA game, like Cyberpunk at 4K, of course not. But I'm actually relatively happy with this system at $400. The more interesting comparison is with our fully custom Jawa PC. What was my grand total for all the components I purchased from Jawa?
It was $721.49.
It's honestly not bad for $700. And again, this is a Ryzen 5 3600 with 16 gigs of RAM. We do have a 500 gig SSD, as well as we have a Radeon RX 6700 XT. We're still gaming at 1440p, but we're also running on full high settings, which I think it should be able to easily cruise through. Oh yeah, a smooth 500 FPS, and this is full high settings. I mean, yeah, it should be no surprise. Like, technically, that CPU, that 3600 is gonna be a small bottleneck, but this is a system that without any shadow of a doubt should be able to play pretty much any game out there. And I'm really curious, how close were these systems in the benchmarks?
Not very.
Checks out.
Yeah.
$400 versus $700, right?
Yeah, so for that, on 3D Mark, we hit a score of 4,009.
And that's regular time spy?
That's regular time spy.
Okay, so 4,000, got it.
And the big boy.
Big boy!
Got 10,899.
What did I say? Like 2 to 3 times more performance. So here's I guess my sum up on Jawa. Buying a pre-built is not a terrible idea. I don't normally recommend it, but Jawa actually seems like a relatively good place to get it because so many of the pre-builts, the custom ones that you get online, are like from like Etsy and stuff, and like they're terrible, right? Like terrible value. This was actually something that was built with somebody who did a relatively good job, and it's a nice little system. Older, sure, but good price per dollar. Now, if you want to build it yourself, you're obviously going to get a lot more performance. Like that shouldn't be a huge surprise. And again, if you made some slightly different decisions by not buying everything on Jawa, buy a power supply, buy a case on like Amazon or Newegg or Micro Center, whatever the case is, you can actually get a lot of bang for the buck. So I gotta say, after having sold a GPU to Jawa, bought a pre-built, and bought all the components to build my own Jawa system, it's a thumbs up. I'm almost afraid to say that unlike most of these platforms, services, and whatnot that we look at that are sketchy, scummy, scammy, Jawa actually is not a scam at all. Like, actually pretty good. Jawa, if you're watching, if I give any bit of criticism or feedback, give people a little bit more leeway. Problems might not show up in the first 2 days, right? It might take a few days, or you might be out of town, and by the time you get to your, open your package, it might already be past the 2 days. I think that's a little bit too restrictive. Obviously, individual sellers can offer whatever policies they want, but that's about the only thing I can point out here. Other than this, is there anything you found with Jawa that would keep me from being like thumbs up?
Yes, they sponsor Linus a lot.
Oh, well, that's a deal breaker right there. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, ring-a-ling the ding-a-ling button, and stay tuned for the next time that Austin buys a lot of expensive tech, or not so expensive tech, from a store that you probably shouldn't even consider. But Jawa, not bad. It's like the whole Linus thing. We can work with that.